It's 1950. The dust of World War II is settling, and a new global spectacle roars to life. The official Formula One World Championship. This was F1 at its most primal. Cars were, for the most part, lumbering front-engined beasts, more akin to pre-war Grand Prix machines than anything remotely resembling modern F1. Think cigar tubes on wheels, with brave, often helmetless drivers at the wheel, daring death with every turn. Italian powerhouses dominated. Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, and Maserati were the kings. Legends like Juan Manuel Fangio, a 5-time world champion, became household names, wrestling these formidable machines to victory. Their rivals included Alberto Ascari and Stirling. The racing was raw, dangerous, and utterly captivating. Technology was rudimentary, and the courage of the drivers was the primary determinant of success. The spectacle was the danger, the grit, and the sheer audacity of men pushing limits with minimal protection. This era forged the very DNA of Formula One: speed, drama, and iconic rivalries. Just as F1 found its footing, a seismic shift rumbled through the paddock in 1959. A small British team called Cooper dared to do the unthinkable. They put the engine behind the driver. It sounds obvious now, but back then it was revolutionary. Suddenly, cars were more balanced, more nimble, and unbelievably faster through the corners. It took a moment for the traditionalists to catch on, but once they did, there was no going back. This was the era of the British invasion. Teams like Lotus and BRM rose to prominence, epitomizing clever engineering over brute force. The 1.5-liter engine formula meant cars were less about sheer horsepower and more about handling precision. Drivers like Jack Brabham, Graham Hill, and Jim Clark became the new heroes, demonstrating a balletic grace that the older front-engined cars simply couldn't achieve. This era proved that innovation could truly redefine a sport, cementing Britain's place as an F1 powerhouse and setting the stage for decades of engineering excellence. As the 60s swung, F1 swung with it, bringing bigger engines and the dawn of aerodynamics. From 1.5 liters, the engines ballooned to a thunderous 3.0 liters in 1966. Unleashing a new breed of powerful, high-speed machines. But power wasn't enough. Engineers began to look skyward, then earthward for speed. This was the era where wings first sprouted from F1 cars, crude at first, bolted high on struts, looking like something from a low-budget sci-fi movie. They were often fragile, sometimes breaking off mid-race, leading to spectacular crashes. But the concept was sound. Downforce equals grip equals speed. The true game-changer arrived in 1967, the Cosworth DFV engine. It wasn't just powerful, it was revolutionary because it was affordable and reliable. Suddenly, smaller, privateer teams could buy a competitive engine, leading to an explosion of constructors and fierce, unpredictable racing. Drivers like Jackie Stewart, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Niki Lauda battled in an increasingly sophisticated, yet still terrifyingly dangerous environment. This was F1 learning to fly, literally, laying the groundwork for the aero wars that would soon define the sport. If the previous era was F1 learning to fly, this was F1 becoming a low-flying jet fighter. The late 1970s brought the ground effect revolution, spearheaded by Lotus and their brilliant designer Colin Chapman. The idea? Shape the underside of the car like an inverted airplane wing, seal the sides to the ground, and suck the car to the track. Suddenly, cars were cornering at speeds previously unimaginable, generating insane levels of downforce without draggy external wings. It was like magic, until it wasn't. If the seal broke, the car became a wild animal. Then came the turbos. Oh, the turbos! Renault first brought them in 1977, and by the mid-1980s, these screaming, fire-breathing monsters were dominant. Pumping out over 1,000 horsepower in qualifying trim, these machines were absolute rockets, but with notorious turbo lag, a terrifying delay between pressing the throttle and the power hitting. This era saw some of the most intense gladiatorial rivalries in F1 history. The icy precision of Alain Prost versus the visceral genius of Ayrton Senna. It was an era of brute force, incredible speed, and drivers pushing the boundaries of human and mechanical endurance. Electronic driver aids like active suspension also began to creep in, hinting at the future. This was F1 at its most extreme, powerful, dangerous, and utterly captivating. The raw explosive power of the turbos proved too much, and for 1989, they were banned. F1 returned to naturally aspirated engines, but that didn't mean a return to simplicity. Oh no. This was the age of the electronic arms race, active suspension, traction control, semi-automatic gearboxes, and advanced telemetry became commonplace. Cars were no longer just mechanical beasts. They were sophisticated, computer-controlled machines, almost driving themselves at times. The technology brought incredible speed, but also a different kind of challenge. Drivers had more aids, but the sheer pace was relentless. The tragic accidents of 1994, particularly the deaths of Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger at Imola, forced a brutal reckoning. F1 underwent a massive overhaul of safety regulations, fundamentally changing car design, raising cockpits, lowering diffusers, and track layouts to prioritize driver protection. This era, for all its technological marvels, serves as a poignant reminder of the constant, sometimes devastating, balance between speed and safety in Formula One. Remember those wide, slick tires? Poof, gone. In 1998, F1 introduced grooved tires, 4 grooves on the front, 4 on the rear, specifically to reduce cornering speeds and supposedly promote closer racing. Whether it worked is debatable, but it certainly changed the car dynamics. But one thing wasn't debatable: the relentless, almost robotic dominance of Michael Schumacher and Ferrari. From 2000 to 2004, they won 5 consecutive Drivers' and Constructors' Championships, an unprecedented feat. Schumacher, with his pinpoint precision, tactical brilliance, and sheer force of will, along with the strategic mastermind of Ross Brawn and John Todt, created arguably the most successful dynasty in F1 history. Aerodynamics became incredibly intricate, with cars sprouting dozens of tiny wings and appendages looking like alien insects. Engines also saw a shift, from screaming V10s to more restrained V8s in 2006. This era was less about raw innovation and more about optimization, precision, and the sheer power of a perfectly orchestrated team. After years of complaints about processionary racing, F1 decided it needed a shakeup. 2009 brought a significant aerodynamic overhaul, aiming to reduce dirty air and promote closer following. More importantly, 2 new technologies burst onto the scene, designed explicitly to aid overtaking. KERS, Kinetic Energy Recovery System, which gave drivers a short burst of electric power, and DRS, Drag Reduction System, allowing them to open a flap on their rear wing on designated straights. These were controversial, but undeniably changed the race dynamic. This period also saw the rise of a new powerhouse, Red Bull Racing, spearheaded by the aerodynamic genius of Adrian Newey and the raw talent of Sebastian Vettel. They achieved a dominant run of 4 consecutive championships from 2010 to 2013, with Vettel showcasing a clinical, aggressive style that netted him dozens of wins. This was an era of incredibly complex aero, tactical use of new driver aids, and a continued push for efficiency within the V8 regulations. And here we are, in the most technologically advanced era of F1 yet, the hybrid era, kicking off in 2014. This wasn't just an engine change, it was a power unit revolution. Gone were the screaming V8s, replaced by incredibly complex 1.6-liter V6 turbocharged hybrid power units. These aren't just engines, they're masterpieces of engineering, combining internal combustion with sophisticated energy recovery systems that capture heat and kinetic energy, unleashing bursts of electric power. They are mind-bogglingly efficient and ludicrously powerful. Initially, this era was defined by the sheer, overwhelming dominance of Mercedes' AMG Petronas F1 team and Lewis Hamilton. From 2014 to 2020, Mercedes swept the Constructors' Championships, with Hamilton clinching 6 world titles, cementing his place as one of the sport's all-time greats. The cars are safer, faster, and more efficient than ever before. Recent years have seen the introduction of a budget cap to level the playing field, and a constant evolution of aerodynamic regulations aimed at improving racing and increasing sustainability. The hybrid era represents F1 at its peak of technological sophistication, a blend of raw power and environmental consciousness pushing the boundaries of what's possible on four wheels.
From front-engined behemoths to hyper-efficient hybrid rockets, we've raced through the incredible evolution of Formula One.